Hello, how are you? I'm Pia. Today I'm going to be talking about 15 or so adaptations that I'm really excited about and that you guys need to add to your watch list. The thing about doing this kind of video for movies instead of when I usually do it for like books is that it's really hard to pin down when these things are gonna come out. Like, I will tell you like at what stage in the process these things are at as I'm filming this, but like movies take a really long time. Like, I'm a girl that writes books and I'm like, that takes a long time, but like movies, that's a whole nother thing. But anyway, these are just like fun adaptations that you guys can add to your watch list on Letterboxd if that's how you keep track of movies that you want to watch and that you can just keep an eye out for in the next few years. So obviously when I'm talking about adaptations here, I'm talking about, I think specifically all movies that are coming out that have been announced somewhere that have maybe some cast, some crew attached to it. And these are all like based on a book. That's why it's an adaptation. This I will probably make like updates to this video and just kind of like give you updates on like where they are in the process and like other things that have been announced. But this is the first one, so I'm gonna give you like a lot of information. So sit tight. So the first adaptation that I'm going to be talking about is My Oxford Year. This is written by Julia Whelan. That's her name. She's a famous narrator actually, but she has written a couple books. And this was her first one, I believe. Let me tell you a little bit of the plot summary. The story follows Anna, an ambitious young American woman who, after setting out for Oxford University to fulfill a childhood dream, has her life completely on track until she meets a charming and clever local who profoundly alters both of their lives. So we've got kind of this is actually just like such a common, I kind of love this trope. Like, I love the trope of like American in a foreign land meets a cutie there, and I love that. Right up my alley. I have not read this book. This is one of the few books, one of the few adaptations on the list, maybe even the only one where I haven't read the book, but it's like, it's so permeated in my brain that I feel like I have. What has been announced for this? Sophia Carson is going to play Anna, and Corey Melcrest, the guy from Queen Charlotte, love of my life actually, is going to play the love interest. So that's all I know about My Oxford Year. Don't know when it's coming out, but I don't think it started filming yet. So there's the update on that. Then we have Mick Glue. Now, I recently read this. This is a short story novella from Otessa Moshfegh. Did I love it? No. Did I love it? No, but I read it because I knew that this adaptation was like in some stage of development, and I was like, what the hell are they gonna do with this short story? Like, literally what? So let me give you a little synopsis. In Salem, Massachusetts in 1851, McGlue is in the hold, still too drunk to be sure of his name or situation or orientation. He may have killed a man, that man may have been his best friend, and his intolerable memory accompanies sobriety. It's like a very confusing little story, and I'm like really interested in how they're gonna like expand it to be a full-length feature. I have no idea. The director is gonna be Andrew Haig, and it's gonna be written by Otessa Moshfegh. And that's in pre-production. Also, if there's like more cast than just like the couple of leads announced, I'm just gonna mention the couple of leads because I don't think you want to sit here and listen to me list everyone in the cast if there's a longer cast list. Next is A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. I love this little book. This is a cute little YA book, again, following a similar vibe that I love, an American in a foreign land. I'll give you a little bit of a synopsis. After the loss of her grandmother, Lila Reyes leaves her life at Abuela's Cuban Bakery in Miami to spend the summer cooking at her aunt's inn in Winchester, London. It's there she falls in love with the quaint British countryside, fusion cooking, and a charming British tea shop clerk, ultimately using food as a way to bridge two cultures and heal her heart. So this movie has already been filmed. I believe it's in post-production. I remember when it was shooting because I was following the live updates. I was so excited. And the two leads are going to be Maya Rafficchio and Kit Connor. So they're going to be playing the two leads. Since it's already been shot, there's a full cast list that you can check out on IMDb or Letterboxd, wherever you prefer. But those are the two leads. I'm very excited for this one. Because it's in post-production, I'm like, where is it gonna go to streaming? Is it gonna come out in theaters? Like, I have no idea what they're gonna do for the release of this movie, but I cannot wait. Next up is an adaptation that I'm sure many a girly are excited about, and if you haven't heard of it, you're probably gonna get excited. But Bunny is being adapted into a feature. If you haven't heard of Bunny, wow, like, I'm happy for you. Genuinely, I never really liked this book, but it is like a very fan favorite, especially among like the internet book clubs. Like just the people on the internet that talk about books, they love this book, except me. Except me being a person on the internet who talks about books. But I'm really interested to see how they adapt it because it's very surreal and has a lot of like, you spend a lot of the book like questioning what's real and what's not, and hopefully by the end you figure it out. I'm interested in how they're going to execute that in a movie format because obviously it's so different than just like reading a written word. But here's a little synopsis if you have not heard of Bunny, or if you have and you don't know what it's about. It follows Samantha Heather Mackey. She receives an invitation to the Bunny's fabled smut salon and finds herself inexplicably drawn to their front door and ditching her friend Ava in the process, based on the novel by Mona Awad. Have I not been saying the authors? Well, my bad. You'll see the covers, so you'll see the authors' names. Right now, it only has producers attached to the project and no actors, no writers, no directors. So that's all I know about Bunny right now. Moving swiftly along, we have Crying in H Mart. Actually, this is probably the second book on here that I haven't read, but it's on my want to read list and I know I'm gonna love it because it's relatable. I also spend way too much time crying in H Mart, actually. Like, way too much time contemplating my very life existence while I'm in H Mart. This is an adaptation of Michelle Zauner's memoir of the same name. That's literally the only description of this book. So if you don't know what the memoir is about, neither do I. But I've heard it's very good. And it's also going to be written by the writer of the memoir, Michelle Zauner. So very excited about that. I love when an adaptation is written, or at least like co-written, maybe produced, something when the writer of the book has something to do with the movie or show or whatever it is. I just think it just leaves a little extra, I don't know, I'm doing like Salt Bae. It just like makes it a little extra special, and I just feel like it works better when they have a hand in it. Then we actually have the only like sequel on this list, but it's a sequel adaptation. It's a sequel to an adaptation that doesn't actually have a book to tie in with this movie, so I'm gonna mention it, but it's confusing and I don't know what's going on. But this is Red, White, and Royal Blue 2. If you didn't watch Red, White, and Royal Blue, I don't know what you're doing. What a fun, silly time. I read that book, I've read it twice, which is probably at least one time too many. It's not my favorite book, but it is so fun. And I do think that they made a really fun adaptation out of it, a really fun movie. It came out in 2023. I was gonna say last year. Whew. It's been a time. It came out in 2023, so they are making a sequel. Now, I cannot tell you anything about the plot of the sequel because there is no second book. There is no Red, White, and Royal Blue 2 in book form by Casey McQuiston. They haven't written that, so yeah, we can just assume that it's the same cast and same crew, but the plot is up in the air. It's for you to decide. Just choose your own adventure. So I have no idea what it's gonna be about, but it has been announced. So Amazon, I'm watching you. Next up, we have Writers and Lovers. Writers and Lovers is a book that I read, again, I want to say in high school. Me reading literary fiction in high school is actually so characteristic of who I was and who I continue to be. But this is a story about Casey Peabody, who's underemployed and an aspiring novelist in 1990s Boston, whose world is rocketed by a recent love affair and her mother's sudden death. Her life becomes more complicated as she then falls for two very different men at the same time. I remember that. Yes, I recall this happening. So this has a little bit more information than some other things. We've got a writer slash director on this one. Double duty, double whammy, if you will. And that is Toni Collette. She is a actress turned writer director, which is so fabulous. She's been in like so many things. This is like her first directing double credit, so I'm very excited to see what she does. I think actors turned directors is like, there's something beautiful about that. I love seeing when that happens because I just feel like they have a different touch. Anyway, and it's also gonna be co-written by Nick Payne, who wrote a little known movie, came out last year, We Live in Time. One of my favorite movies of last year. Amazing. I'm so excited. I think it's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. Oh my god. So this is the second Ottessa Moshfegh adaptation on this list, but there is a third one. And I want to say, I feel like I excluded one because I was like, I keep talking about Ottessa Moshfegh adaptations, like we get it, she's getting adapted a lot. Okay, maybe I'm going crazy. Okay, Anyway, this next Otessa Moshfegh adaptation is my favorite Otessa Moshfegh, so I actually could not be more excited. But I'm also like so confused and concerned of how they're gonna adapt this book because it's so introspective and so like inner monologue. But it is called Death in Her Hands, if you haven't heard of it. I love this book. It follows an elderly woman whose life is upturned when she discovers a cryptic note on a walk in the woods with her dog. Let's add that, with her dog. Let's add that. And the only thing we know about this right now is that it's going to be directed by David Lowery, and I'm very excited about it. Another, I wouldn't call that a thriller, I wouldn't call it a horror, but it's similarly and goes into the next one I want to talk about, and that is We Spread. We Spread was my favorite horror book I read couple of years ago, and this follows an aging artist who, after the death of her partner, is moved into a unique long-term care residence where she begins to distrust her day-to-day reality. I love it. I love the like aging and like questioning your consciousness and your surroundings and what's real, but also not being able to trust yourself and or anyone around you. I love that shit. I love when the scariest thing in a horror book is actually you. That's awesome. This is going to be directed by Mina Beg, also co-written by that same person, and Ian Reid, who is the writer of We Spread. So very excited about that. I think it's gonna be so good. I really hope it doesn't flop. I feel like I can see it flopping. I can really easily see it flopping, especially since it's not the type of movie I would watch, though it's the type of book I would read, which we should examine at a later date. But I'm very excited about it. I think the last of the spookier adaptations we have to talk about is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It's another horror book that I really love. It's about a women's book club who must battle a vampire preying on the youth in their small town. It's so crazy. It's so fun. It's so like, oh, I don't know how to describe the feeling I had when I was reading this book, but it was like, it was crazy. This is written by Grady Hendrix of My Best Friend's Exorcism fame. Now, I didn't watch the adaptation for My Best Friend's Exorcism, but he has been adapted before. I don't know how successful that one was, and if people liked it. I actually have no idea. I don't know, I'm bringing it up because I don't know anything about it, but I did know it was adapted before, and I did love that book. So I'm interested to see how this gets adapted. It is picked up by Amazon Studios, and that's all I know about it. Next up, we have one that is like, has a lot more information. So like sink your teeth in, let's get into it. People We Meet on Vacation. Now this is the only Emily Henry adaptation I'm gonna mention, but all of her books have been optioned. They have all been sold, the rights have been sold for adaptations for every single Emily Henry book, like quite soon after they have come out. This is just the one I'm most excited about, and it's the one we're getting the soonest. So People We Meet on Vacation, free-spirited Poppy and routine-loving Alex, who have been unlikely best friends for a decade, live in different cities, but spend every summer vacation together. The careful balance of their friendship is put to the test when they begin to question what has been obvious to everyone else. Could they actually be the perfect romantic match? Absolutely obsessed. It's one of my favorite Emily Henry books. I've read it many times, and I'm very excited about it. I still don't know how I feel about the cast. So we have Tom Blythe playing Alex and Emily Bader playing Poppy. I have seen Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and we know how I feel about that movie. But I haven't seen anything else with these two, so I don't know how I feel about it. I'm interested though, and I'm gonna watch it, obviously. It's directed by Brett Haley, who directed two of my favorite things, two of my favorite adaptations that have come out. That came out in 2019. Two of my favorite adaptations that came out in 2019. All the Right Places and Looking for Alaska, directed by this man. Love him to death. And it's written by Yulin Kwang, who wrote, among other things, many of the Emily Henry scripts have been written by that awesome girl. So moving swiftly along, another book I have yet to read, but I'm very excited about reading, and I have a lot of time because there's not a lot we know about this adaptation right now, and that is The Idiot. I want to read this book so bad. I thought I'd already read it, and I don't know what that says about me. But this is about a Harvard student who embarks on an ill-advised romance with an international student from Hungary. Okay, like say less. Actually, you couldn't say less, because like what is that synopsis? This is gonna be written and directed by Sandy Tan, and that's all we know about it right now. I need to get to reading it before this comes out. Okay, we just have two more left. The next one I'm so excited about. I loved this book when I read it, and it is The Night Circus. The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Erin Morgenstern does something so magical in her books, and it's not even that they're speculative, it's that like her writing is so just like pops off the page. It's so gorgeous. This is a story set in a mysterious circus and centers around two young magicians vying for supremacy under the close watch of their respective instructors. It is coming out of Lionsgate and is going to be directed by Jeremy Jasper and written by 3 people. Ready? Maura Buffini, Patrick Ness, and Annie Baker. We know Patrick Ness. I know what you're saying. We know Patrick Ness. Stop the presses right now. None of them are Aaron Morgenstern, to be fair. However, Patrick Ness is the author of the Chaos Walking series, among many other things. So very interested to see what this turns out like. I think it's gonna be like a really good movie, and coming out of Lionsgate, I think that they're actually gonna do a really good job. So very excited about that. The last book to movie adaptation I'm going to be talking about in this video is one that has passed hands. It's been juggled, it's gone around, but it's finally kind of landed in, I think, a home. So this is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo movie. This, of course, is written by Taylor Jenkins Reid, love of my life. Emerson alum, thank you. And this is about a reclusive Hollywood legend, Evelyn Hugo, who chooses an unknown reporter, Monique Grant, to tell her life story. She recounts her time in the golden age of Hollywood, her rise to fame, and her 7 marriages, revealing stunning secrets and lies. But through it all, one question remains: why has she chosen Monique for her final confession? I don't like, no offense to whoever wrote the synopsis, but I don't like it. I think it is asking questions that you're not actually asking when you're reading that book. But nonetheless, this is going to be directed by Leslie Headland and written by Liz Tigelaar, who wrote The Click. Awesome. Love that. It's kind of a merging of worlds. It's kind of like my adolescence into my adulthood. The Click, The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And it's going to be executive produced by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I just like mentioning when the authors are having a hand in it. And it's going to be executive produced by her. I think she also executive produced Daisy Jones and the Six when that came out, but don't quote me on that because I didn't do the research on that because that came out a while ago. So those are the 15 or so adaptations that I'm really excited about and all the information I know about them right now. Could you have found this all on Letterboxd? Yes, you could have, but I did the research for you, and you can just add these to your little watch list and get excited as the updates roll in about when these things are going to come out. I'm very excited. I'm sure I missed some, so if there are any adaptations that you are really excited about that you're like, Pia, the rights just got sold to, I don't know, I was gonna name a book and then I was like, what book? The rights just got sold to The Odyssey. Actually, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, it's not in here, but I'm very excited about it. But if you know of any adaptations that just got announced that you're excited about, let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to correct me on any of the things I got wrong in this video, please do so nicely. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, do all the things, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!